their eyes to the feminist issue, or what is that, a labor issue, environmental preservation. The concept was diversified to adapt with the changing circumstances. The lesson and new wave of inculcation or intelligence stream is actually a matter of nature, and for both camps, well, typically we see two major stream of history: liberal, communist, socialist in some cases, eclectic, and new mode of thinking is actually not unnecessary. And that is one point if you take the stance of a scholarly endeavor, and this all. And we later discussed what elements of domesticating, but in highly brief fashion. You see what we illustrated several elements to undergird the topic, elements of domesticating. For example, controlling law, constitutional due process, and so on. What is that? On the record, it is a statutory term which is so to be determinative of the issue. Might come not absolute, however. So judicial review actually very instructive for state administrative agencies. They could learn many structural problems. So interactive to shape a public policy. And what the judge also made law in common law tradition. They are one important policy makers as a public agent. So we can comprehend the concept of public agent in broad terms. Judge would be an important policy maker by creating judgment. And also political branches, it needless to say, since they are principal authority to oversee the executive branch, and also the administrative agencies are in line hierarchy, and what we have an aspect of discussion about what the bureaucratic authority, a fourth branch in some high tone of a scholarly argument. So no definite places or chapters. However, that could be practiced from three eminent sources of governmental powers. So, for example, Congress may create a legislative code, distinct from Article 3 code, and independent council is notable. For example, which is the product made enable in collaboration with two branches, legislature and judicial branch. So three judges, based on the statute granted by Congress, elected independent council. They are executive officers, administrative agencies, to challenge the misconduct of president. So one is the Nixon's trust about his inferior officer is the switch of the former independent counsel and new independent counsel named Jowski also impeached. And who is Stalin? He actually asked to investigate the president and a great technical informer to support the impeachment trial of Senate. So you will see the context is very present in the Korean situation. The independent counsel or normal prosecutor also would be highly empowered about criminal investigation. They could subpoena a scope of material evidences, and they may bring witnesses for testimonial evidence. The criminal record is extensive normally and could be prepared in complete fashion about the incident at totality. So the record is very useful for civil proceeding. Often the civil court judges would not discern the result of criminal investigation. Perhaps the Senate of the United States would highly depend on the outcome presented by the Stalin. Also, might have independent competence to draw upon relevant evidence. They have some acting arms to support their responsibility in information or other necessities. In any case, the context could vary in mosaic of networks, basically from tripartite branch of government, and complicated by multiplicity of norms and authority. In some cases, they may be faced with a conflict of authority or conflict of norms. So highly perplexing to make the situation not simplified. So that is the point. However, we don't have to be climbing, as we said, since the principal feature should be on loyalty and faith and public spirit to serve the community and nation. So, personal interest or wishes or desires can contribute to the neglect or procrastination, or in some cases, organizational resilience among the branches. It is kind of nature of things, often a pattern of human society. So, of public office. They are public officers in one hand, which have a different level of responsibilities or authority. They are also human agent in other dimension. They would like to pursue a seniority benefit. They could keep their job responsibility, and it is one point of context that the heads of a branch departments are required to develop and expand in some cases the organizational impact. What is one point, and might be vital to lose the holistic concept of social justice or bureaucratic integrity. So the command line is also important. So what a multiple factors could impact. And the presidential immunity or privileges and the controversy involving independent counsel would not cease afterwards. The Congress enacted a new statute, Ethics in Government Act, in August 1994. And that is the legal basis to empower a staff as an investigator of a president. And the episode involved investigation of the deaths of Vince Foster. On October 10, 1997, Star's report on the deaths of Deputy White House Counsel Vince Foster, drafted largely by Star's Deputy Brett Kavanaugh, was released to the public by the Special Division. The report agrees with the findings of previous independent counsel, Robert B. Fisk. Foster committed suicide at Fort Moss Park in Virginia, and the suicide was caused primarily by undiagnosed and untreated depression. And CNN explained on February 28, 1997, the Star report refused claims by conservative political organizations. The Foster was the victim of a murder plot and a cover-up. But despite those findings, right-wing political groups have continued to allege that there was more to the deaths and that the President and First Lady tried to cover it up. CNN also noted that organizations pushing the murder theory included the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, owned by billionaire Richard Mellon Scarlett, and Accuracy Media, supported in part by Scarlett's Foundation. Scarlett's report on the Whitewater matter, Christopher Ruddy was a frequent critic of Starr's handling of the case. So the backdrop would be influenced by political dissidents, kind of a national context of different attitude, which is actually highly on compassion, enriched of history and tradition. So it is not definite in terms of framework or any attribution. So it could be reduced in partisan politics. Often we see the conservative who to be a foundation of spirit for Republican Party in the United States. How about the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom? So, could share the basic direction or philosophical sharing actually could be in large ambit. However, might highly in this figuration, since the national context could also intervene to shape the accurate picture of conservative in the nation. So the Korean conservative may get torn with American peers. That could be split in other issues. For example, the nationalists of Japan would not be friendly with Korean conservatives, nationalists. They rather like to compete. What about the war situation, Marcus? Often the war situation aggravates the separation of powers principle. It is a kind of national emergency, and President would like ascribe himself as kind of a monarch or king. So his commander-in-chief in more notorious status other than peacetime. So his imagery will very sordid in some cases. That is not always the case. Charlie of history of the United States. For example, who is Roosevelt? He is one of impressive figure as a kind of state beacon of state administration. However, he is not conservative or nationalist. He is never a whole circle or Republican. He is actually from a Democratic Party. His impressive image would rather be friendly with socialist legislation. But a mass of a social legislation was initiated. He led the World War II, which is highly significant in world history, and considered to restructure the world hegemony in politics and economics. So the war situation would elevate the presidency. In previous times, we talked about Vietnam War. Nixon would be some kind of aftermath in figure and impression, succeeded from Johnson Wallace. So his